Hi and welcome to Best in Tesla. It is said that the EV industry will grow as fast as battery supply allows. Yes, true, and that also means that the EV manufacturer will only grow as fast as their battery supply chain allows, and Tesla has made sure they have everything ready for their extreme scale, and sits with the power and flexibility that no one else has, not even close, and have made deals with all of the biggest battery manufacturer in the world that sits on more than 80% of all battery supply for EVs, and with mining companies and raw material refineries. Some might think that what Ford and GM is doing is the same thing as what Tesla is doing, but nothing could be further from the truth. Tesla is the one sitting with the power and flexibility that the others don't. And I would like to try to illustrate that in this video so you can see that the race is over before it really gets started. Thanks to Tesla's big flexible supply chain they have been working on for half a decade. And the old boys are now scrambling around like headless chickens to find supply. So let's check it all out and let's dive right in. The EV industry will grow as fast as the battery supply allows. Well, Tesla has made sure their battery supply is big. Because Tesla has done the math and said, okay, if we want to go for 20 million EVs by 2030, what do we need to do? And that is why we see Tesla with battery supply contracts with all of the 5 biggest battery manufacturers in the world. That sits on about 80% of the global battery market for EVs. But has also made a joint partnership with Panasonic over half a decade ago to build batteries for Tesla in Tesla's factory in Nevada that everyone else is trying to copy now. But Tesla has also made the step further and has started making their own batteries, their 4680 cell. But Tesla saw that if this should be possible, it was not enough to make deals with battery manufacturer and make their own batteries, because the true bottleneck was going to be the materials that goes into the batteries. That is why Tesla, through the last half decade or more, has been making deals with raw materials refineries, but also all the way to the very start of it all, with contracts with the mining company. Tesla has dozens of multiple-year contracts for raw materials from mining companies to make sure Tesla themselves will have the material for their 4680 battery, but also to become a supplier for battery manufacturers if they can't get enough material to supply Tesla with the batteries they have promised. Well, Tesla will be able to supply them with the raw material. And even in 2024, Tesla will start refining lithium, as Elon has called it a money-printing business. But it doesn't seem like many have taken him up on the offer, so Tesla is going to do this themselves. So all of this put together give Tesla an advantage over everyone else in the market, because they all say they want to ramp up quicker and quicker. But as JB Straubel, one of the founders of Tesla, who now runs Redwood Materials, said, I don't think they have really done the math on this one. Because sure, it sounds great that GM has increased their EV target with more than 10x just during the last 2 years. Tesla has had their target of 20 million for many years now, but GM changed their target from 160,000 EVs in 2026 to 2 million EVs in 2025 in just 2 years. But where will they get all those batteries from? Well, last, they are building new factories in the US together with LG, and they have even made deals with Livent Corporation that will secure raw material used in the manufacturing of batteries for electric vehicles. So they are also going for raw materials. Yes, but not from the mines. Livent is not a mining company. They are a lithium producer. They refine lithium. They produce lithium hydroxide. So they do what Tesla want to do in 2024. And Tesla already made deals with Livent in 2020. So they are of course already supplying Tesla. So again, GM is a couple of years late to the party. And is not securing the raw material, but the refined material, so that is quite a big difference. And Tesla is of course doing both. But Tesla once again taking it a step further, because most of the battery manufacturers are now also going to ramp up their version of the 4680 cell. Both CATL, Samsung, Panasonic and LG will be making 4680 cell for Tesla. But another thing Tesla is doing that the others are not is Tesla can use many different kinds of batteries. They use their 1864 cells in the Model S and X and the 2170 cells in the Model 3 and Y, and also their 4680 cells. And they will even get BYD's LFP blade batteries for the Tesla Berlin factory for their standard range Model Y. A completely different kind of batteries. And one thing to keep in mind is that Tesla can use all of these different kind of batteries, but also with different kind of chemistries, with iron cathode, manganese cathode, nickel cathode, and now we learn that Tesla will start refining lithium as well already in 2024. Remember, many of these deals we have heard about from Ford, like the SK Innovation and their $11 billion investment in 4 new factories with a combined annual production of 129 gigawatt hours, is not set to be online before 2025. Their deal with LFP batteries from CATL, not before 2026. Tesla will start refining lithium in 2024 in a brand new factory somewhere on the Gulf Coast of Texas. And remember, Tesla has even built both the Texas factory and the Berlin factory that both will be making batteries as well as cars, and all without losing money on their bank account. That stands in very big contrast to Ford's announcing that they will spend $11 billion on 4 battery factories. So Tesla has deals with 5 of the biggest battery manufacturers in the world that stands for more than 80% of the battery market for EVs. And Tesla will add to this with their own batteries. And Elon has said that he believes long term both Berlin and Texas will be able to produce about 200 to 250 gigawatt hours per year per factory. Ford's 4th factory for $11 billion with SK Innovation will be a combined of 129 gigawatt hours. So Tesla will also become a very big battery supplier on a global scale themselves. So where will everyone else get their batteries when Tesla has bought most of the world's supply of batteries from the biggest player in the world, and also bought a huge piece of the supply of raw materials that is needed for those batteries, and the others are just starting now. That stands in very big contrast to what someone like GM has done, that has only made a deal with one battery company, LG, for one kind of battery, the expensive one with nickel cathode with the outdated technology of pouch cells, and made an even bigger deal now, still only with LG, but also for raw refined material, so that is good, but it's still only with LG as I'm aware, and only for NCA batteries, still not LFP batteries. Ford has the deal with CATL for LFP batteries, but they don't get those LFP batteries before 2026, and only about 40 gigawatt hours, which is enough for about 500,000 cars. So right now there is only one supplier for Ford, and that is SKI. Ford has said it has now secured about 70% of the battery capacity it needs to its goal of building more than 2 million EVs worldwide by late 2026, so maybe about 100 gigawatt hours, where I think this 40 gigawatt hour deal with CATL is probably included in their numbers. But it is all still on paper. and they're still missing about 30% of the battery supply they need. So if SKI or CATL can't get the raw materials they need because of the skyrocketing demand and contracts being made to mining companies, they will not be able to supply those batteries for Ford. Or maybe the price will go up, and Ford right now says they expect an 8% pre-tax profit margin on its EVs by 2026. The company has said its EV business currently is not profitable, but even an 8% margin would be very short of Tesla's almost 20% operating margins, which is probably climbing even more in the future. So Tesla will sit with the flexibility and power to lower their price 10% if they need to and outprice Ford's EVs completely. I don't think Tesla will do that, but just saying, it is still Tesla that sits with all the power and flexibility, and someone like Ford is just trying to survive. So GM thinks that their strategy of one battery supplier with one kind of battery and on an outdated technology with pouch cells will win the race. How they can look at this and what Tesla is doing and think they have any chance whatsoever is beyond my understanding. Also, GM thinks that 1 million will be enough to beat Tesla in the US. Tesla has the Fremont factory that are aiming for above 700,000 EVs from that factory alone, and 1 million plus just from their Texas factory. So only Tesla's Texas factory will be able to beat GM all on its own, including batteries, as that factory will probably produce about 200 gigawatt hours of the 4680 cells by 2025. That will be enough batteries for about 2.5 million cars. And just remember, because GM only has one supplier of batteries, that is what made their production of EVs stop completely in the last quarters of 2021. And they only sold about 26 EVs in Q4 of 2021. So now they should be ramping up like crazy, right? But in the first half of 2022, they only sold about 8,500 EVs, excluding the Wuling mini EV they are part of, but that is not really GM that is making that one, so that does not really tell us anything about GM's ability to ramp up. So only about 8,500 units in the first half of 2022. And it is all because of the supply for the EVs, as GM's CFO also said back in August. Unfortunately, the production isn't there because we are ramping up the supply chain and ramping up the tooling and ramping up the scale as we are producing. So that is why you're seeing some of the lower volumes in the Hummer and the Lyriq. Yes, GM right there admits they do not have the supply chain ramp to make all of the EVs they hoped they could. What a surprise. Meanwhile, Tesla's Giga Texas factory that went online in April of this year has just passed 10,000 Model Ys, made in its first 6 month of operation. So more EVs than GM was able to ramp up in the first 6 months of this year. Do you see what is going on here? So my guess is that the Texas factory on its own will already this year beat GM on EV sales in the US. So the question is, will GM ever be able to keep up with just this one monster of a factory Tesla has made? But in 2021, GM sold about 24,000 EVs, excluding the mini EV, and now they have been going down in EV sales in 2020 because of supply chain, because their poor choice of making deals with only one battery supplier, with only one kind of batteries that they can use. And at the same time, GM lost about 650,000 units in sale in the first half of this year of their total sales. Meanwhile, Tesla grew their sales despite lockdown and everything in Shanghai with about 178,000 units in the first half of 2022. If Tesla's growth continue with 50% over the next 3 years and GM continue to fall with the average of 8.6% they have done for the last 5 years and is still heading towards this year as well, then GM will not only catch Tesla in 2025 as the biggest EV producer in the US, but Tesla will become a bigger car manufacturer than GM combined in 2025. GM would then be at something like 4.2 million units in sales, and Tesla would be somewhere like 4.7 million units in sale. And Tesla has done the math on this and also just said it is no longer battery constrained. This is huge. And the reason everyone else is still struggling with the supply chain issues and can't grow their business, but Tesla on the other hand is shooting up, well, one of the many reasons is because of this. Tesla is so flexible when it comes to battery and all of their supply chains, while someone like GM is unable to move an inch. They have no flexibility whatsoever. And Tesla is earning industry-leading money on their EVs, and GM is still not profitable on their EVs. If LG is down, GM can't make cars. If the nickel supply can't keep up with the demand, GM is down. If those two things happen at the same time, GM is pretty screwed, as we saw at the end of 2021. But for Tesla, that would only be a little bump in the road, as they have so many other options if LG or nickel supply should run out. And Tesla has only just gotten all the chess pieces in place they have been working on for the last half decade. And now Tesla will execute on the extreme scale Elon will talk about in their Master Plan 3. They are already the fastest growing large manufacturer in history, but history has seen nothing yet.
And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.